What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to November's window shopping episode. So if you guys don't know what this is, first time you're watching it, every month I like to do a quick review of the central market and see the price trends of notable items. So whether you're a beginner or an endgame player, you guys can see what might be worth making, enhancing for profit, or just like, should you self-craft it for yourself or something like that. But yeah, if you haven't watched it, every month I go over this and we talk about notable items, and this is probably interesting to watch, especially if you aren't on the NA server, just because prices could be different. And this game is definitely an event-driven economy, so like whatever notable event is going on right now probably affects the price of various things. And yeah, recently, so we had Kharazad Accessories came out, and this is the big money sink for endgame players, along with sovereign weapons as well. So this is where I'm at. And we're going to be talking about a lot of accessories today, just because the price of that kind of tanked with all the upgrades and exchanges that happened. But no matter where you are in the game, we're going to talk about some items that you're probably going to look at no matter what. And we're going to speed through armors and accessories as well. So anyway, with that said, we're talking about black stars now. At this stage in the game, it's pretty irrelevant to go for Zarka often or a lot of things, simply because they give you a free Tet and Pen black star these days just by like playing the game, questing, and it'll be in your Y tab. So this tab right here, you just do whatever the requirements are and you get it. So anyway, with that said, let's look at black star prices. So the only ones that really matter realistically are Tet and Pen. Pen, ooh, that was... what happened here? That was over... well, it went up and it's going down again. So there's that. Either way, the prices weren't really too wild. Even if we look at like last, or at the start of last month, it was like 10 billion. Or no, 100 billion. And so it's more or less the same within 10 bill range. So yeah, if you're looking to buy one now, just put an order at minimum price and you'll be able to get it. As for Tets, that's a wild spike over a week. All of this, it may look pretty bad, but it really realistically went from like... it didn't really change that much. It went from like the low point of 8.5 billion. Now the low point is 9 billion. So it's like the difference between 1 hour of grinding. Obviously more is better, but yeah, roughly the same. I think if you were going to enhance black stars for profit, the best one is to probably enhance offhands, but we'll take a look at that as well. Awakening. I guess it doesn't really matter which one we look at, but 10.6 versus 10.8. So if you decide you want to enhance main hand or awakening, just do whichever one sells for the most, but realistically, they're both the same. As for Pen, that's not good. That looks like it's going up, but it's really not going up. I don't think enhancing Pen black stars for profit is really worth it nowadays. It wasn't really worth it years ago either, unless you really, really knew what you're doing. But nowadays, you're doing it to convert to sovereign weapons. All right, so next we're going to look at the sub-weapons, because these could be potentially profit enhanceable. If you're a new player, you probably are using a Kudum. Let's see what the prices of that are. 7 billion. Fine. If you are a PvPer, you also potentially get a Nuver. That is also 6 to 7 billion. It's kind of the same now. All right, black stars. Yep, as I thought, black star offhands are the ones to enhance for profit. Is it a lot more profit? No, but it is, you know, a few hundred mil more than the other types. As for going for Pen is not profitable. That is not, that's like, you know, that Stonks meme, but in reverse. Yeah, Yeah, it's not looking so great for offhands. I think if you were to enhance your profit, probably going up to Tet and then selling it is probably the play, but even then, it's not looking so great. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is quickly speed run through the armors, and as usual, I tell you what stacks I use to go for Fallen God. I self-enhanced all of mine, and so you guys can watch those videos as well. But anyway, with that said, base to pry, you start at like an 80 stack, go up to like 100, and then do that. No crons needed. Pry to duo, you still don't cron it. You could, but you shouldn't. So from pry to duo, I use like a 100 through like a 130-ish stack. And then from duo to try, that's when you start cronning. You start at like a 140 stack and then go up to like probably close to 200. And then if you hit a 200 stack, to start over, because trust me when I say with all these Kharazad things coming out, a 200 stack is worth more long term than it is for this. And then try to Tet, at the current price, like before it used to be like around 180 to 200. But looking at it now, you probably want to start around like a 230-ish stack, go to maybe like 270. Back in the day, I would have told you to go like up to like 300, but with the price going down, I'd probably stop at like 270-ish, and if you get there, start over on like another 200 again, 230-ish. As for pen or obliterating, just ignore that one. It's, you know, basically impossible to get unless you get really lucky. So most people just stop at Tet or whaling, and that goes for every single piece of all four of them. You use the same stack. If you're trying to go for that one, Griffin is slightly better than Gaiath. If you were to look at all resistance plus 5% versus plus 100 HP pool, Griffin, the all resistances, in my opinion, is worth a little bit more, especially if you are a PvPer. Not getting CC'd is, you know, the difference between winning and not in a duel. Will you notice it a lot? Probably not, but 5% is worth more than 100 HP. Aside from that, your ultimate goal is to get the Fallen God, and that's about it. So, let's see, what are the price of these nowadays? I think all of the Fallen God armors are, you know, roughly the same price. Maybe give or take the Ator shoes, because those are the newest ones and the hardest ones to get. And by hard, I mean the highest end grind spots. Aside from that, let's look at the shoes. These are the ones that are most important. So 38 bill at base, going up to 140. Okay, so they're basically all the same. Yeah, like the price equalized for all four pieces now. So if you're thinking about making the armors yourself, go with the one that's the cheapest, which I believe would be the gloves in your case, because these are literally half the price, obviously, and probably cheaper at Tet. But if you were making it and or grinding for the flame yourself, this one is the easiest, simply because it requires the least amount of materials and the least amount of RNG. The only downside is it requires you to do the Land in the Morning like quest line, at least fully one time, which is about like 300-ish quests, which it's not that bad. You're gonna do it eventually, but if you don't like questing, this is going to feel tedious. Other than that, like, just go to the spot you like first and then do that one. Atoy Shoes is in the Ulukita area, so that's like a 300 plus AP spot, which it is what it is. Other things you can do is straight up just buy the flame. So the Flame of Despair is for the armor piece, Frost is for the helmet, this circle flame is for the glove, and the resonance is for the shoes. So you could just skip all that by buying it. The resonance one obviously still has a high value, and there's that. All right, so next, this is going to be the important one for this month, because Kharazad Accessories came out, which are these thingies, And I'm actually at 3 out of 30 fails on this one. It's 3650 crons per attempt. That's a lot. And the enhancement rate is like 5% on a 300 stack, which actually, like, it's not great, but it's higher than I thought it would be. So yeah, we're 3 out of 30 fails already on Nov to deck. And very interesting. So anyway, there's a lot of questions right now. Is it worth it to get a Tet Debo and convert, or make the Kharazad from base? Unless you have a lot of fail stacks already, it's better to just buy the Tet and convert, because if you read the patch notes from last week or something, basically you do use some pretty decently high stacks to self-craft it. So it's overall probably going to be cheaper to buy a Tet Debo and then convert it into a Pen Kharazad and then go from there. And also with Kharazad, you probably are going to use more in terms of fail stacks, which it's going to cost more, but the risk of the item getting destroyed or downgrading, that's gone. So you're basically playing this game risk-free as long as you are using Cron Stones. And I think that does have a value, believe it or not. So that was always a stressful thing for people, myself included, when I was going for Pen Debos and I was just like, oh, minus 11.5 thousand crons, and it downgraded negative like 40 billion silver in 2 seconds. That didn't feel good. So you're probably paying a little bit more in terms of silver if you factor into fail stack costs and everything, but it doesn't downgrade, so you should always just use crons. Yeah, I know this game is grind for crons, slam, fail, repeat, but yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, let's see. Deboreka rings. All these other accessories, they are not worth using, but you do use them. Like if you get a Tet or a Pen crescent ring, for example, you can melt them and then get different crystals, what we call Dawn Crystals, which are new with the Kharazad update as well. And so basically these give huge stats, and it allows diversity in terms of your builds. So for example, if you are a DR player and you just want to be a tank and do no damage and displayed AP, I think that means like your sheet AP. So basically you can trade off all of your AP and have like 800 DP if you want to do, or something like that. That's how I understand it, but I'm not trying to spend 15 billion to test that. So either way, yeah, it's one of those things that add a little bit of diversity, but I think for the most part, most people are just going to be using the all AP. That means more damage for both PvP and PvE, and there's no downside to it. So no trade-off, it's just more damage. So anyway, we got a little bit off track. Okay, so basically the only thing that's worth doing, Deboreka accessories, convert to Kharazad. Everything else is, if you get it, you're using it for a specific reason and you know why. So Tungrad would be mostly for Black Spirit Rage, which also crystals can fix that problem as well. But, you know, up to you. I think the ultimate goal nowadays is Kharazad, but right now, at the current prices of looking at these, that's like the biggest drop I've ever seen. Like, it's always been going down, but that's extra bad. So it's like, it's very interesting to see these accessory prices drop even further. Yeah, so this is the accuracy ones. I don't think accuracy accessories are worth doing nowadays, simply because like the Dawn Crystals literally negate a lot of these. Like this is an accuracy crystal, you trade AP, but 60 accuracy is a lot actually. And people have done the math on all of this, and basically, you know, your sheet AP that you would get before. So like, let's say you had a Deboreka, the AP you would trade off from that to get all the accuracy is basically the same now. So Kharazad is the way to go for everyone, but how you build is crystal slots nowadays. So I think, is that a good thing? I think overall it's a good thing, but we'll see. Anyway, for the most part, I'm just kind of looking at prices nowadays. Asdal necklace. I like that the fact that they're adding unique effects to the new accessories. Like, for example, what was that? The Tabex belt and all that stuff. You know how they have a special effect when you use them? The only downside to these is the 10-minute cooldown, that you can't swap the accessory while you're doing it. So I've always said in my previous videos, I've tried to give feedback and everything, was I would reduce the cooldown from 10 minutes to like 3 minutes. Because if you like, realistically look at this, the 7 AP is more than 7 AP. It's 7 sheet AP minus your brackets. So you could be going 1 or 2 brackets down. But it is a group thing, I think. Well, at least one of them is a group thing. This won't cover 100% HP. This one seems just kind of stupid, I'm gonna be honest. But either way, I like the idea of accessories with unique effects. Maybe not just the stupid ones, though. But anyway, most accessories are dead now. You want Kharazad. We're going to talk about earrings, simply because this one is still a little bit relevant. So with Kharazad, so for example, I have a Nov one, which was a Pen Debo converted, and then and then the Pen, which is a Tet converted. So if you look at the Tet or a Pen Disto, this one gives 21 AP but minus 5 DP. This looks better on paper, but you do still lose 5 DP. The way I looked at this was, so this is 17 AP. However, it does unlock a crystal slot. So you get 1 crystal slot per Kharazad accessory. And then each Jin Dawn gives plus 4 AP. While it's not sheet AP, it's still added to your total stats. So it depends on, does this move you up into a new bracket or something, which could be effectively better. But if it doesn't, you're still gaining 17 plus 4, which is 21. So let me go back to this for a second. Where was it? So as I was talking about before, in terms of a Tet or a Pen Disto, so you see how this is 17, but you got the crystal unlock. You're essentially getting 21 effective AP. This could put you down or up into a bracket, which that's a little bit different depending on where you're at. So it could actually be better or worse, but I think having a Pen Disto is a dead-end upgrade. I don't think they're bad. I just think that, like, let's say if you're thinking about taking this game seriously a year from now, eventually the goal is to get like deck accessories. So there's that. So yeah, I do think it is worth, if you have a pen, probably just try to sell it and then hope for the best. Like, just go for that, get the crystal unlock, and then upgrade your thing going forward. But yeah, aside from that, everything else is irrelevant. Same with belts. The one thing I wanted to talk about, though, it's kind of like the Tabeck one and the Asdal belt. So this one gives Black Spirit Rage. I do think this is a unique one. I think the overall best of the effect set accessories is probably the Tabeck belt. Do I think it's worth using outside of PvP situations? No. I do think this effect is good. I just think the cooldown is really long. 10 minutes for that. Like, look at this Nov belt that I have. You're literally trading 8 AP for a 1-minute burst window. So yeah, that's not good for PvE. It's good for situations in like node wars and stuff, but that's about it in my opinion. All right, so let's talk about some other things that have been new and added. So Dawn Crystals, we talked about this briefly a few minutes ago. What should you use? If you just want more damage with no downside, Jin Dawns are the way to go. They're kind of expensive, but you get one for free by converting all your accessories into Kharazad, so you don't really worry about this. The expensive ones, I think, are probably going to be the other ones. The ones that I would worry about, depending on your situation, is I do think that the pink ones, the Black Spirit Rage, is actually very solid. So self-obtainable Black Spirit Rage plus 25%. If you are combining these with Black Spirit Rage Recovery, you can allows you to basically go over the 100% cap with this one at the expense of negative sheet AP. But having the burst go by a lot quicker is very solid. Some classes have better 200s than the others. It is what it is. So if you're like if you're a Drac, Zerker, probably going to want to look into this. Is it better? I don't know. If you're a Dark Knight, it's probably not that good, to be honest. If you guys saw Dark Knight 200, doesn't look that great. I think this one is probably going to be the most valuable one, like outside of the AP one. -7 AP, but you get 60 accuracy. Stamina is less relevant, but like you're here for the accuracy. Yeah, accuracy is important for PvP exclusively, and right now we are not in a good spot for PvP. Node wars, people are unhappy. Sieges are whatever. War of the Roses on NA doesn't even really happen. It doesn't even fill up. What is it, like 300 people or something? Yeah, that doesn't even fill on NA. So I think this would be a good crystal if PvP was more relevant and, you know, popping off. But the hard truth is, I think for most people, just getting the red one, the more AP is universally better. If you guys like playing tank builds, or when I say tank, I mean defensive, DR versus evasion, you are trading 25 sheet AP for 25 DP evasion or DR. And so yeah, adding 6 of them together is 150 DP that you're going on. So it's like, that's big DP. If you want like fat defensives, this is what you're going for. So yeah, these are the new things. Another thing I wanted to talk about was Reforge, because these go on your sovereign weapons, not particularly new, but as time goes on, they're just going to start sitting on the market. So here's how I built mine. I'm still missing one AP one just because like I can't get it from the boss, and I've had an order on it since day one. So I personally use 1 back attack, crit damage, AP, HP, and Black Spirit Recovery. This one I have down attack, HP, Black Spirit Rage, all DR, and the 5th slot's going to be all AP. I think the general rule is, how do you know which one is good? The ones that are sold out. So all AP, all damage reduction, back attack damage is good for everything, or for the most part, and then crit damage is generally good as well. So that's kind of how I built mine. If you want to like duplicate yours as well, just make like the same things, that's cool. But depending on where you're at in the game, let's say you have, I don't know, duo Fallen God armors and you're like 390, 400 DP. You might want to add more DR. But for people like me, I would rather, you know, you don't need 2 all DRs. It, like, obviously it helps, but at some point you trade off a little bit of offensive for defensive, or other way around. How you build is up to you, but general good ones, more AP, more damage is always nice. I think having a higher HP pool across the board is really nice. And Black Spirit Rage, so this is what it does. It gives, you see here in the yellow text, is 2.5 every 10 seconds. So let's take off one of them. It's 2% every 10 seconds. If you don't have any, it's 1.5. So yeah, like literally 2.5 every 10 seconds. and then you can add those crystals that add more to it, which is always nice. So yeah, that's why I have Black Spirit Rage. It does help with the burst windows for a little bit, which is always cool. So yeah, that's how I built mine. Let's see what else. I'm gonna basically complain about this until they actually fix it in the game. Pearl Abyss. I know you forgot about this because Kharazad and Sovereign weapons are the hot items. Please allow people to go past Vel's Heart. You can do this, but it's very difficult. So yeah, basically for anyone past Vel's Heart, if you have a Splendid, it is better. It'll like reduce your AP on sheet by 3, but if you look at the overall effects, it is better. I'll explain it. So Vel's Heart plus 3 AP, and then the effect is plus 8, so that's effectively 11. However, the plus 3 could boost you into a higher AP bracket, which is overall good. But if you are at the end game, so this like the Splendid is for end game players, like really end game players. This gives you 13. So it's effectively, assuming the bracket doesn't change, you are getting 2 more AP and then more defensives and all that stuff. So yeah, overall it is better. You could upgrade these to Exalted, so the DP is essentially the same. You are losing the sheet 3, but that's about it. So, Pearl Abyss, please add more of these yellow stuff, or, you know, just make an item that... just make these more common. And then one suggestion that I would have, and a lot of other people in the community have brought up as well, is... if you have one of these, and this is like if you successfully upgrade it, they're all 3%, by the way. 3% success rate to upgrade. Just allow people to Cronstone these, and then, or, you know, make us do like a freaking 500 quest line chain to upgrade or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just let people actually get them. Allow us to Cronstone it and go above Vel's. Shining is basically impossible because you need one of these first. But anyway, until then, I'm just going to be stuck with my Vel's Heart. Every time I get silver, we light it on fire and try to do another attempt on one of these pieces. But aside from that, that's really all the notable items. Lightstones are going down in price. The notable one is Strike Crystals. Remember when these were all permanently sold out? Yeah, now you can actually buy them, and they're not 5 bill. So that's actually pretty cool. I do actually think strikes are very strong. These are still arguably the best one. So yeah, the one I use is, this is all out attack. We use 2 strikes and 2 rages. And species damage, which is, you know, iridescent plus the 3 of the species that you're going for. Aside from that, that's about it. All the notable items, there is artifacts that I'm slowly going for, but it's not like higher on my priority list. I would think that these are more for PvP, but I do want them just to say I have them. And these are like all DR, all evasion, essentially. So I think these are solid, but it's not high on my priority list right now. If I got 10 bill, you know what I'm doing it? Slamming a Kharazad click. So yeah, it is that. But that's all the notable items we wanted to talk about today. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully maybe learned something. But until next time, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Would love to see you come back. And I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.